l'orientation du chef de l'État. Donc c'est un gouvernement extrêmement structuré et je dis ça, la main sur le cœur, que nous devions faire même un standing ovation.
Quand vous, du RDPC, convoquez la notion d'équilibre, c'est un équilibre de division du gâteau national. Nous, au sein de la Renaissance nationale, nous pensons que le Cameroun est une case nationale.
If you suspect you may have a coronavirus infection, please call your healthcare provider in advance and let them know you are coming. This can help them be prepared. WHO recommends preventive measures to reduce your risk. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. Avoid eating raw meat and unnecessary contact with wild animals. Avoid close contact with anyone with flu-like symptoms. When coughing and sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with a flexed elbow or use a tissue. Take particular precaution while traveling. Seek medical care early.
Barrister Mungwa Nicholas condemns the humiliation of lawyers in Cameroon, especially within the context of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. He deepens the description on the humiliation, torture, and dehumanizing treatments given to Thomas Tangim, who died in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. He died in chains at a hospital after being sick for over 6 months at the maximum security prison in the Kundingi neighborhood of the nation's political capital. And 6 persons have perished in a road accident in the Mungu division of the littoral region of Cameroon. Also in this newscast, we take you to Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon, where yet to be identified individuals have set ablaze road construction machines belonging to the Limbe City Council. Those are the top stories. You're on to the primetime news on Equinox Television, live from Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala, live from Equinox Central News Desk. We begin with a top human interest story. 6 persons have perished in a road accident in the Mungu division of the littoral region of Cameroon. According to local sources, the accident resulted from a head-on collision between a 70-seater interurban bus and a vehicle. Innocent as it tells us more in the following report.
In total, there are 6 persons who have perished, with several others injured in this deadly road accident which occurred Thursday at about 3 a.m. at a place called Loe in Manjo subdivision, Mungu division of the littoral region. Sources say a 70-seater interurban transport bus that left Douala heading to the west region crashed behind an oil tanker stationed along the road. Due to a tire puncture it suffered without any danger sign put to indicate there is a breakdown vehicle ahead. Driver of the bus, who decided to crash behind the tanker that was transporting palm oil, did so to avoid a head-on collision with an oncoming bus. The violent crash resulted to spillage of palm oil from the tanker. Locals stormed the accident scene with containers fetching the spilled palm oil on the tar, mud and bush for possible home consumption and other unknown purposes. However, security elements and rescue soldiers were present on the scene to take care of the situation and re-establish circulation. Paralyzed.
And accidents have continued to claim lives in major highways across the Republic of Cameroon, even within the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon as context, and the health challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic. I will take you straight away to Limbe in the Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon to see 3 road construction machines belonging to the Limbe City Council have been set ablaze by yet to be identified individuals. Reports from Limbe in the Fako division of the southwest region say the machines were burnt at the Limbe City Council Technical Service site in Maitu. That is one of the major neighborhoods in Limbe where the machines were stationed. The fire incident, as you can see in the images, the fire incident, according to local sources, broke out at about midnight August the 6th, 2020, and almost reduced the machines to nothing before the intervention of local inhabitants. The senior divisional officer for the Fako division, accompanied by forces of law and order, went to the site yesterday to assess the situation, but those responsible for the incident are yet to be identified, according to sources from Limbe. However, the Limbe City Council and with Limbe City dwellers think the act must have been committed by disgruntled individuals following the recent destruction of some makeshift structures within the city of Limbe. Take a listen to a Limbe City inhabitants who witnessed the fire incident. We hooked up with him. He was speaking to our correspondent in Limbe, Davidson Maimo.
At about past 12, first of all, I perceived the burning flame from the window, from my window up there. So I opened it. I was trying to see what is going on. So looking outside, I realized that there was fire here. So I had a number of the market master of Limbe Newtown Market. So I called him. He now asked me to come closer and meet the security people, so together we can see what to do while he's coming behind. So on reaching here, there was no security. So he could then call us again, and I said there's nobody. He said, okay, we should try and find our way inside. That's how we came here, and we came here with 4 in numbers. Yes, I and my 2 brothers and one elder person. Yes, so we started with the first machine. The 3 machines were on flames. So we had to quench the first one, and then we went to the next. Then this was the last one. Well, when we came, we started using sand because we never knew that there was tap around. So we came, the 3 of us first. I and my 3 younger brothers who were in the house with me. So we came, we were using sand. So when that elderly man came from a neighbor, he now said that there is tap behind. That we should go and we should look for things and carry water to quench it.
Though some inhabitants in Limbe think or suggest the act might have been carried out by separatist fighters, others believe it was done by some disgruntled individuals, and it is coming barely a week after the decision of the Limbe City Council to demolish some makeshift structures within the city. And the inhabitants who witnessed the scene says they saw nobody around when the fire incident started. Listen to him once again in the following extract.
There was nobody. So they actually asked us to force him to look for our way to come inside because there was nobody. We stood outside the gate for almost 5 minutes, but there was nobody.
Was the gate locked?
It was locked. The gate was locked from behind.
Okay.
We had the police people who came later, and the city mayor just came
in that night.
Yes, but before he came, the security officers were here while we were doing the job.
Fire incidents are recurrent in Limbe, which is the chief town of the Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon. I will take you to something else, to the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Barrister Mongwa Nicolas indicates that human rights activists in Cameroon, lawyers defending persons in Cameroon, are being humiliated. He was speaking within the context of the demise of Tangim Thomas alias Patom, a detainee of the Anglophone crisis, who died in a hospital in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, should be recalled that he was sick for over 6 months in detention, and efforts by family members to get him to hospital were thwarted, according to family members who were speaking to Equinox television and radio in the nation's political, or rather the nation's economic capital city, Douala. Take a listen to Barrister Nico in the following extract.
They cannot reduce lawyers helpless before their own clients. They make lawyers to look very ridiculous. You don't have access to your client is ill. Even if you were to do an application, it's automatic that once the medical facilities of a prison are inadequate and there are cases that the prison cannot handle, you evacuate them right in court. We actually had to spill the beans because it was quite a very disturbing day, so sorrowful, so morose, a day not like any other day in our lives. We are watching a lot of drama out here, and it is inconceivable that people die under this type of circumstances. That we have prison guards who are supposed to guard people, and you see somebody is at the verge of puffing out his last breath, and you expect prison guards who are supposed to be there to watch at the situation and even to account for the abandon to the medical officers who try their hand, and at the end of it happens like that. There are some other prisoners or detainees that would want to access specialized medical centers, but they are not allowed that opportunity. One of them spoke in court. Angela Jones actually spoke on that he is pending operation in court, but unfortunately, they are not granting him operation in the hospital, but they've never granted him the opportunity. And who knows that he will be the next person tomorrow? He spoke that before the presiding judge of the military tribunal, Yaoundé, and the whole tribunal was held hostage, and everybody developed cold feet. So the question is, why would you bring people, you arrest people, you adopt people from far off places in the northwest and the southwest, you bring them to Yaoundé when you cannot take better care of them, and they become a burden to the state up to the level that they expose them being tuned and they die with the chains on. So these are the questions that we're posing.
He was interviewed by Innocent Ase, and the legal mind he should be recalled is one of the lawyers defending Siseko Ayuktabe and co-separatist leaders detained in Yaoundé, Cameroon. He that has been with some of the detainees of the Anglophone crisis says they are living under horrible detention conditions. Take a listen to him once again.
You know, since the outbreak of COVID, and since the measures and since some of the instructions that have come from the international community, the United Nations, even the call to ceasefire to access the suffering masses that might likely be thrown to the wrath of the COVID, and then even the decongestion of prisons in order to allow some air to breathe. Most of our guys are still to the wrath of the COVID, and then even the decongestion of prisons in order to allow some air to breathe. Most of our guys are still suffocating under pressure at Kolbengi. And that is why, quite often than not, we say it and we still saying it, that the state of Cameroon is operating as a country that is not on planet Earth, but like a planet on its own, with maybe the prisons being some of the countries there. Because we cannot understand where a country continues to post about its sovereignty, but whereas you lose part of it. For you to bring hundreds of people from regions where you have military tribunals, where you have prisons, and then you pack them in a single prison that was intended for less than 1,000 or 1,500 persons. It is now about 7,000, even despite the fact that some window blind and cosmetic measures were taken, saying they decongested because they got international instructions that were binding to everybody. More and more things are happening inside there. You know, the case of Shufa is very, very fresh in our mind, when he was equally chained at the military hospital. And with the case of Shufa, let me highlight that his matter is there, and we have filed a complaint against the superintendent of the principal prison, who was fired the other day, and that matter is pending before the Procurator General of the Central Region, and we are bent on prosecuting that matter.
Barrister Nicodemus, he was speaking on a telephone chat with our reporter Innocent Aze. Another extract was selected by Innocent Aze. Some 55 African countries are uniting their efforts to form a common voice for the representation of the continent at the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, with expectations to save lives within the African continent with regards to the current COVID-19 pandemic. The questions and issues were raised under 5 key points during the opening ceremony of the 2020 Africa Caucus meeting of World Bank and IMF experts in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Innocent as has the rest of that story.
It is in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic that the 2020 edition of the African Caucus meeting of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund holds in Yaoundé, Cameroon, via video conference with the head of state, represented by Prime Minister Joseph John Goute, Minister Alamin Ousmane May assisting his colleague, Minister Louis Paul Motaze, President of the 2020 gathering of the 54 governors from both financial institutions, says
Le premier aspect,
they will work relentlessly on the 5 key subject matters drafted from this virtual gathering, notably save lives through fights against COVID-19, preserve well-being of the populations, safeguard productivity and employment, as well as protect Africa's human capital in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic.
la gouvernance en pareille circonstance de crise.
According to Minister Louis Paul Motaze,
le caucus africain se tient parce que
the African Caucus meeting also aims at uniting the 54 governors to speak in one voice before meeting with international financial institutions.
Les institutions financières internationales.
In this oneness, the governors need to enhance Africa's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
À l'heure actuelle,
according to Minister Louis Paul Motaze, what is preoccupying now is the health crisis that is digging deep, not only in the health, but also the economic and financial sectors. Africa thus is in need of resources to counter its problems, but fortunately, the continent has good proposals to its challenges.
Heureusement, l'Afrique a aussi des propositions de solutions.
Minister Alamin Ousmane May knows that some advances have already been recorded on representation of Africa within the international institutions.
Nous saluons les développements récents qui ont donné lieu à la désignation.
Some developments are designation of a second vice president for Central and Northern Africa, nomination of an African as Assistant Director General at the International Monetary Fund. These and others encourage Africa to structure itself for further developments.
De poursuivre non seulement leur riposte face à la pandémie, mais de se structurer.
It will be in October that they shall know what response has been made to the African Memorandum addressed to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
Cocoa farmers in Cameroon are angry that buyers should be the ones to dictate cocoa prices on them. Speaking recently in the southwest region of Cameroon, they expressed their worries and disappointment with that trend across the Republic of Cameroon. And of course, cocoa agro-business expert Eteke Divine was also speaking recently during the ceremony to hand bonuses to some cocoa farmers within Cameroon. They gathered in the southwest region, as Derek Jato tells us in the following report.
The cry of most cocoa farmers in Cameroon.
We know what we spend to gain 1 kilo of cocoa.
They say when it comes to marketing their produce, they are left at the mercy of individual buyers who dictate the price on them.
I don't know 1 kilo. Where the buyer come?
And today's rescue is coming from Agro Produce Management Services (AMS), as explained by Eteke Divine, the country representative.
First of all, to let our farmers to understand that They are not just a lay farmer as they used to understand before, but we want to make them to know that as a farmer, you are a business person and you can get partnership with an organization like AMS who will support and follow you with different trainings, support you with chemical inputs, support you with seedlings.
This is because in marketing there is competition, reason why Agro-Produce Management Services has as its commitment to accompany these farmers from the nursery to the final stage where the cocoa beans are delivered. And at the end of cocoa season every year, its farmers are given bonuses, and that of the 2019-2020 cocoa season has already taken off, with close to 13 billion paid out to 13,000 farmers drawn from the center, west, littoral and the southwest regions of Cameroon benefiting. I will use this money received as bonus to construct a good house, says Marie Chantal Tangana, one of the beneficiaries. Though Cameroon occupied a comfortable seat when it comes to cocoa production in Africa, but today agro-produce managers like AMS says Cameroon has what it takes to take the cocoa production lead in the continent. Reason why they are building capacities of these farmers as that strategy to the top.
The armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon had an impact on the participation of learners in these regions, including in this year's GC ordinary and advanced level examinations. Witnessed in most localities in these regions, centers were closed, classes closed, and very few learners and candidates turn out. But in the Donga Mountain Division, the senior divisional officer says he is happy with the turnout of candidates for the examinations in his area of command. He indicates that they made him proud after a tour of some of the examination centers within the Donga Mountain. More in the following report.
With the paralyzing impacts of the Anglophone crisis on education in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, GC, ordinary and advanced level examinations witnessed an effective takeoff in the Donga Mountain Division, according to the senior divisional officer, Dr. Do Simon Quenti.
To say that Donga Mountain, like all other divisions of the Republic, has opened its doors for the GCE candidates to flex their intellectual prowess by also competing in this exam as their counterparts, the whole nation.
Before this affirmation, Dr. Do Simon Quenti, accompanied by the divisional delegate of secondary education for the Donga Mountain, Mr. Talishi Oliver, and forces of law and order, made a round of some examination centers in the division. With the examination taking place in just 2 out of the 5 subdivisions in the Donga Mountain, officials say Kamer Central Subdivision is host to 5 centers, notably in Kamer External, Government Secondary School Nyanji, Presbyterian High School Kamer, and Binju External. Technical GC examinations are taking place at St. Rita's College Kamer, St. Marcelin College Kamer, and Government Technical High School Kamer, Bilingual High School, and Government Technical High School Misiji.
Exams with all optimism, with all confidence, with all courage, and with all determination to give us the results we desire.
The senior divisional officer says his presence in the field was to boost the morale of candidates writing in a challenging health and security context. 26 candidates in Camer were absent out of a total of 1,097 registered candidates, according to officials.
The same opinion came from the #1 man of the southwest region of Cameroon, Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai. Made a round of some examination centers within Boya and the
While congratulating these candidates for taking charge of their future, Southwest Governor called on the parents of these candidates to be supportive. In the midst of COVID-19, the barrier measures were also respected in all the reaching centers around Boya.
And of course, that's where we end this edition of news. Coming up is Talking Point. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on Talking Point. We are receiving a Muslim scholar of the Christian Bible. He is Abdul Karim. Abdul Karim, thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Fomi.
Yeah, in the COVID mood, anti-COVID mood.
Yeah, absolutely. The pandemic is real, so we have to all be careful.
Yeah, it's a message, and of course, we need to be careful in order to keep safe. This is your first outing after your detention, media outing, at least on Equinox.
Well, let me continue by thanking God and I ask Him to send His blessings upon His prophet and messengers, righteous men and women who've lived, to the suffering people of southern Cameroon. We ask Him also to cleanse the world of this very dangerous pandemic. We ask Him to bring justice to the people who are suffering, especially the oppressed of the day, the people of southern Cameroon. Yeah, this isn't actually my first outing.
British southern Cameroon. Not the northwest and southwest regions.
Southern Cameroon, that it is, yes. So you can choose your words as you want carefully. I'm choosing mine carefully.
No, within the context, right? Anyway, go on. I just said that I needed to just do that correction that the people of former British Southern Cameroon.
No, it's not a correction. Actually, what you're doing is a reversal. So I'm correcting you. It is Southern Cameroon, unless you want to explain to me how and when that changed. But that said, this is not my first outing since I was detained, to answer your question.
On Equinox, at least. It's the first time we're having you on Equinox.
Yes, sir. No, I think I did a show with Mr. Babila on the inside.
On Skype.
Yeah, on the inside.
By then you are not in Cameroon. Yes, you said you are talking from somewhere. Actually, I was here present when you had a program with Mr. Babila on Skype. We are actually grateful, happy you accepted our invitation and you're here with us. We will be talking about a lot of things in this edition of Talking Point, but you just followed the news from start. What caught your attention?
Yeah, well, I saw, let me continue praying. Oh my God, expand my bread for me, clear the impediments of my tongue so my people can understand me. Yeah, a lot of things would catch one's attention, especially in today's life. Actually, I hear there is this restriction on basically wearing a mask to stay safe of COVID. I don't find that in Douala, but I hear people are being charged for money in the southern Cameroons, Bamenda particularly, 6,000 for not wearing that by people who are not wearing it in the first place. So that caught my attention, besides the governor of, so-called governor of Boya, who
is the governor of the southwest region.
Yeah, so I'm choosing my words carefully, who is appreciating students who are writing amidst bullet. And what struck me again, each time I see him, I remember the fact that he's not yet apologized for calling us and our parents dogs. So if you're asking me what caught my attention, that caught my attention.
And it's something worth appreciating, right? At least the numbers have increased compared to what we've had since the escalation of the Anglophone crisis. We've had sessions of the GC ordinary and advanced level, and of course statistics this year shows that the numbers have increased, be they in the northwest or in the southwest region.
Numbers in this country has always increased. You need to check what is increasing it. The problem with the education of southern Cameroon has never been that people should not go to school. The thing is the challenge that we have on the ground. There is insecurity, and then the curriculum is under scrutiny. We've not addressed that. So the numbers can rise or fall, and it doesn't really matter. The reality is that the people are resisting oppression. That one is clear, and whether or not people are increasing in the marketplaces or in schools is a different subject.
Yeah, you know, education too, it's important, and of course that's might just be interpreted as people understanding that probably getting education grounded in this region wasn't a better idea after all. And of course kids need to go to school, whatever the socio-political challenges, so the context, kids must go to school and they should learn so they can be able to express themselves correctly, like you and I. Tomorrow, if that's not the case, they won't be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Education is absolutely important, and you don't want to tell Southern Cameroonians that. I think they understood it prior the plebiscite. They were scholars in that place, and they are still scholars. The problem had been, which has been and is what under what circumstances should people study, and what are they learning? You go to school to be able to solve problems, not to be able to enslave yourself with lies in the name of education. That is what people have challenged. And again, I went to school in that same place. We didn't go to school with bullets. We didn't write GCE with bullets over our heads. So trying to appreciate that, to me, is like saying that having a vehicle when you're supposed, renting a vehicle when you're supposed to own one is a better deal.
And you know, our discussion actually will have to center on the issues in these regions. Currently, we have something like a deadlock. People are talking about negotiations. People say government should look into the issues and talk with people from the opposite side. And we are having the effects manifested in all forms. The most recent sad manifestation of the arms conflict is the fall or the demise of a detainee of the Anglophone crisis in Yaoundé, Thomas Tangim.
Oh,
I've heard about it.
Yeah, may the dead forgive our silence, and may the dead forgive our inaction. That is one of us again who has died for not doing anything but for being who he is. And we also are going through more than that for being who we are. Actually, that's not by definition. It's the definition of Kofi Annan, the former secretary of the United Nations, rest his soul. He said genocide is killing a person or a people for not doing anything but for being who they are.
That's definition.
A simple definition for you know. Look, I checked. I think slavery was abolished by the European countries in the 16th and 17th century, and the 13th Amendment of the United States finally did it in 1835. But what we've seen today, we are in a case where Southern Cameroonians are treated worse than dogs. We have been referred to that anyway. We are treated worse than dogs. This man, his wife is now telling us that for 4 days he excreted and he urinated on the bed. I don't know if you saw that except when she was crying over the corpse in the hospital. This is a man chained. When you're sick, you barely find comfortable positions in